I always said I have zero doubts about this Phillies team, and I knew they would figure it out. That's exactly what they did. Hello, welcome back to .NET Phillies. We're back for another exciting episode. The Phillies took 3 of 4 of the Rockies, just as I predicted, and it wasn't in ways that they were professional wins. Yes, the Rockies are atrocious and they should have been stomping the hell out of them. Well, they did today, but they were a lot more intense games than I thought they were going to be, a lot closer. The Rockies kind of were a little scrappy in the series, but ultimately, a win's a win. It doesn't really matter how you get there. So it was nice to see that. It was nice to see the starters go deep. It was nice to see the offense finally starting to click. We got good news about Harper, and I might as well talk about that now. Harper could be back in a couple weeks. They're not sending him on a rehab assignment. He could be back in a couple weeks. That I believe that was from The Athletic. I believe that was Galeb or Destiny. One of them were tweeting about the fact that Harper could be back in a couple weeks, which is just insane. Like, that is unreal that Harper could be back, especially if this offense is starting to click on all cylinders. Guys, Castellanos is finally hitting the ball out. We'll get to him when we talk about Game 3. Bohm is continuing to put together a great season. Stott is developing into one of the best young talents in the game right now. Marsh is fantastic. Like, these guys, these younger guys who are coming up through the system. I know Marsh didn't, but he basically did kind of. It's good to see them step up. That is something the Phillies have struggled with for years now, is developing players and not developing, well, yes, developing players, but once they get to the big leagues, kind of getting better, improving, going above and beyond. I can't think of the last time the Phillies had Rhys Hoskins. My apologies. Rhys Hoskins seemingly was the last player we had that we developed and kind of took off. Because he was 2017. So yeah, I guess Rhys Hoskins was the last time we had people like this. So these young guys are stepping up. It's great to see, and then you're getting contributions from Edmundo Sosa. The big guys you're spending money on: Trey Turner, Nick Castellanos, Kyle Schwarber even had a homer in Game 2. It's just really, really good to see these guys develop and this team finally starting to figure out their identity and start to click. And yes, I know it's against bad teams, but that's how teams get to the playoffs. It's the Phillies got to the playoffs last year, was beating up on bad teams, taking care of business when they had to. Exactly what they did in this series, taking 3 out of 4 from the Rockies. So let's get right into it. Game number 1. The Phillies unfortunately fell to the Rockies 5-0. This was their only loss in the series. It was one of those annoying games, and especially because you had the first Throwback Thursday of the season, and, love them. You can't really beat them. The powder blues, the maroon, and the high. You can't beat it. The maroon jerseys are the best in the entire MLB. Like, a lot of teams have the powder blues, like the Twins. Twins, I don't think, have them anymore because they had kind of a rebrand thing. So I think the Cardinals and the Blue Jays have the powder blues. I think, do the Rangers? I think the Rangers do too. But regardless, the Phillies have the best one because I think the contrast of the blue and the maroon works so well with the high socks and the button and it's just great. It's great. It's great. But back to the game at hand. It was the first one of the season. It was great. It was great to see. The game started off. Matt Strahm was really good in this game. He just made a couple mistakes to CJ Cron and to Elias Diaz. I believe that's his name. Or Elias Diaz. I think it's Elias Diaz. Regardless, he made 2 mistakes to those guys, and that was really it. I mean, Cron, future Philly CJ Cron. I was texting Matt Saporsky and Matt Hartman, and I said, "Man, this runs really should count for us." Well, that's what Matt said to me, but it's hard. CJ Cron, future Philly, had a 2-run home run in the first inning to give him a 2-0 lead. And the Phillies really struggled against the pitcher of the Rockies, and his name is escaping me. I apologize. He came in with a 6 ERA. You thought that the Phillies finally, they come off that Chicago series, but then you realize, like, they played 2 games in a day, and then they had that early game, and then the flight back, and their body's kind of weird, and that's just a human element of the game. So for them to lose 5-0 in this game, it was annoying, yes, but it's fine because they won the next 3. If they split, then it's a little more like, come on, guys. But you forget about the losses when you win the next 3 games. So scoring wise, I mentioned Elias Diaz in the 6th, which kind of knocked Matt Strom out of the game. And then Alan Trejo walked in the 6th against Bellotti to give him a 4-0 lead. And then Bohm struck out with the bases loaded in the 6th, which was kind of like damned to begin with because it got an automatic strike for not being in the box against the pitch timer. So that at bat was kind of cursed to begin with. And then Mike Moustakas, who had no idea was still in the league, is apparently on the Colorado Rockies and had an RBI double in the 9th to close it out and make it 5-0. Zero idea. I had no idea Mike Moustakas was still on a Major League Baseball team. I thought he was. Yeah, I knew he got DFA by the Rays. I really thought he was just floating in the wind somewhere, but apparently he's in Colorado. So yeah, so kind of the main story I want to talk about, Matt Strom struggled with his location a decent amount in this game, but he kind of saw that in his last game against the Reds a little bit. But he went 5 1/3, 3 hits, 3 earned run, 2 walks, 11 strikeouts for Matt Strom. That's insane. He was dicing up players, and again, he just made a couple mistakes, and it sucks. But he was great in this game. Like, I thought he battled well. I thought he looked really good. His off-speed stuff, that curveball he has was nasty. He was dying right out of the zone. That fastball up, he couldn't really locate that much. So that's kind of the 2 walks came from. And he was working a lot of 3-2 counts, which was unfortunate. But then the rest of the pitchers, Bellotti, who is now placed on the IL with right forearm tendonitis, I believe it is. And I honestly think that is just a Phantom IL stint, because who would know that pitching Andrew Bellotti in 18 of the first 21 games would have backfired? He told Topper, he's like, "Yeah, give me the ball every day." Topper said, "Bet. Say less. You're getting the ball every day." So Bellotti's on the IL. He went 2/3 of an inning, 2 hits, 1 earned run, 1 walk, and no strikeouts. So I do think it's a Phantom IL stint. I think it's just, for those of you who don't know, Phantom IL means that you have an injury, but it's really to rest your body a little bit, so you're not taking up a roster spot. I do believe it's that, considering he pitched, what would that be? This was Wednesday. No, this was Thursday. He pitched Friday, was placed on the IL Saturday. So I think that's why. But Brogdon pitched a scoreless inning. He had actually struck out the side. He looked really good. And Ortiz went 2 innings, 2 hits, 1 earned run, no walks, and a strikeout. So just one of those games. The Phillies really can't hit bad pitching. And I don't think that the pitcher for the Rockies, and again, his name is escaping me, I do apologize. I don't think he's that bad. He had some good stuff. He was that changeup he had was working on the outside corner away from righties and into lefties. That looked really good. So I don't think he's a bad starter. And I'm not trying to justify the Phillies' loss, but you got to give the pitcher credit when you do. And that's the beautiful thing about baseball is you can come in being one of the worst pitchers on the planet and throw 6 shutout innings, which I believe he did, or might have been, I think it was 6 shut that he threw. You just never know, and that's the great thing about baseball. Also, I would like to start a motion that Jurickson Profar might be a bigger loser than Pete Alonso. It's time to have a conversation about this. I feel like no matter what, Jurickson Profar is arguing about something in this game. Not this game particularly, but something in any game. You saw it when he was a member of the Padres in the NLCS, was crying all the time. We saw it in this series. I believe he got ejected. I was actually on a different podcast when I was watching the game. I had the game on over here, and I wasn't able to mumble out what T-Mac was saying. But I just feel like this guy just complains all the time. And it's like, dude, get over yourself. Like, it's not like you're Mike Trout out here. You're literally playing for the Rockies, and you signed like a minor league deal. And it's just, I hate him. I hate him. He's on my list of guys I hate. Him, Pete Alonso, Brandon Nimmo. Let's see who else is on that list. No, I respect him. The Nationals have literally nobody. I'm trying to think in the division. Anyway, he's on a list of guys that I hate. But yeah. So that concludes game 1. Now, game 2. 4-3, Phillies win. My player of the game was Edmundo Sosa. Guy's just a winner. Like Edmundo Sosa, just no matter what he does, he's just a winning player. That the guy you have on winning teams, so you know, he's getting not exposed because he's still rising to the occasion. He's more so he's playing every day. Obviously, with the injury to Hoskins and Hall, Bohm is shifting over to first and Sosa's at third, and he hasn't been a detriment. He's been playing extremely well. He was out a few games with that back tightness, so this was his first game back, and it was great to see him. And we'll get to why he's the player of the game, but let's run down what happened in this game. Aaron Nola was on the bump today, who I got to give some credit to. Gave up a 3-run home run to Ryan McMahon in the first inning to make it 3-0, and that was it in terms of the Rockies scoring any runs. Nola went 7 innings, 4 hits, 3 earned runs, 3 walks, 3 strikeouts. Not bad. It wasn't terrible. I'm not like it was a step in the right direction. He's still walking too many guys. He's not striking out enough. He's leaving his fastball up a lot, which is subject to get hit out of the park. And I don't know. I can't figure out Nola right now. You know, with Wheeler, what we saw today was, he's getting back on track. He's figuring stuff out. He's getting there. You can see in every start he's progressing to get back to the guy he was. Nola, yes, he went 7 innings and he was really, really good outside of that first inning. It's just I don't get it. Nola is an enigma, and I think that was the title of one of my TikToks or my Instagram posts was I just can't figure him out right now, and it's frustrating, but this was a step in the right direction. It was good to see Nola kind of settle in after that rough first, pitched really well, pitched 7 innings, which is exactly what you want from your ace, a guy who's demanding $200 million. It was good to see. I want the strikeouts to get up a little bit, but hey, if, an out's an out. It doesn't matter if it's a strikeout, pop out, whatever, an out's an out. So if you're getting outs, getting through 7 innings, 3 earned runs, it's really good. But it's just very un-Nola-like. Like, I can't figure him out, and it's bugging me. But Nola, you got to give him credit. So back to the scoring, Nick Castellanos was on third base, was kind of doing his dance thing. Actually got Noah Davis, the pitcher for the Rockies, to balked in a run. Then Jake Cave had an RBI single, kind of a swinging bunt down the third base line. And then they got out of the inning, but it's so great to see Castellanos. Like, I am so back in on Nick Castellanos being a productive member of this team. Like, his at-bats are great. He had a couple home runs yesterday. Like, his presence in the lineup is starting to get feared again, which is great. This is why we're paying him $20 million a year, is to be that guy. I don't know if he's ever going to hit 30 home runs again, but if he can be like 280, 290, like 20 home runs, I'll take it from Nick Castellanos. And he hasn't really been a black hole in right field. I take that back. He's been fine out there. He hasn't hurt us. Well, he did in that game against the Reds that we lost, but he's been fine. He's just fine. He's hitting very well. I'm very happy. Leads the league in doubles. Had 3 hits yesterday. Like, I'm not saying he's back, but I'm like all in on him being back if he is back. You heard it here first, April 23rd, buying in on Nick Castellanos, possibly, definitely being back. And then Kyle Schwarber in the 7th tied the game up with a solo home run. And it was weird. I was sitting on my couch. I was out with my girlfriend and her parents, and they came back to my house to spend, hang out with my, both of our families. And I'm sitting on the couch watching the game, and Turner's up, and he gets out. And for some reason, I'm like, Kyle Schwarber's hitting a home run right here. And then he did. I don't know. It's one of those things, like, I'm never one to be like, oh, I called that home run. But like that home run on Friday, I did call that. I will give myself credit. And then you had the Sosa RBI. So JT doubled in the 8th to, I believe, lead off the inning. And then 2 outs, wasn't able to, get him over, whatever. And then Sosa comes up against Brad Hand. I said in the last podcast, I think, or I was talking to someone, I'm like, I need to see Brad Hand in this game, and I need someone to absolutely crush Brad Hand. You earned that NLCS ring that you got. You earned it by giving us the win here. Sosa had a broken bat little blooper that Profar trapped, tried to play it off like he caught it when everybody and their mother knew he didn't. JT scored 4-3. And then you had Dominguez, who I think is back. Like, he has looked lights out recently, which is huge for this bullpen. It takes the weight off of Alvarado, off of Soto, who's looked incredible, takes the weight off of Kimbrel, who's looked better, takes a load off of everybody. If Seranthony is that guy that we know he can be, and we know he has the ability to be and expect him to be, if he's back to that, that's huge for this bullpen. And it was great. He went an inning, allowed a walk, didn't strike out anybody, but hey, you got almost a perfect inning. And then Alvarado just did what he did, just threw a scoreless ninth. Bada boom, game's over, 4-3. Phillies take the win. And yeah, so now we're moving on to game 3. My player of the game was Nick Castellanos. I did mention he had a very big day. And then I mentioned before that Andrew Bellotti before the game was placed on the 15-day IL with right tricep tendonitis. That was the injury that I couldn't think of. So to get the scoring started, Nick Castellanos, first home run of the year for him. I texted my brother Connor. I said, Connor, has anything bad happened to me? And he just texted me back, did Casty do it? And I said, you bet your sweet tuckus he did. It's a solo home run. It's great to see him driving the ball. He just looks so confident and just looks like Nick Castellanos. And I'm so happy that he looks like that guy again. That's the guy we're paying $100 million to. It was awesome. I'm so happy Nick Castellanos is Nick Castellanos. I was so excited when we signed him, and coming off of that disappointing year, kind of that slow start to the season, I'm like, oh my God, is he washed? Nope. He is him. And then you had Jurickson Profar, loser, RBI ground out in the third to tie it up off of Christopher Sanchez, who Christopher Sanchez pitched really well in this game. I've never been a huge Christopher Sanchez guy. Anytime he starts, I'm like, but in this game, he went 4 1/3, 5 hits, 3 on run, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts. Looked pretty good. You know, that's about as good as I expect a Christopher Sanchez start to be, I should say. And, you know, he gave you 4 1/3. Pretty good in a spot start. I mean, I couldn't be happier with it. And then the unthinkable happened in the third inning. I think hell froze over because Christian Pache, a 2-run home run to make it 3-1 Philadelphia. What? Kevin Long? Kevin. Did you do it again? Because Pache's actually lurking good. He's working good counts. He's hitting the ball a little harder. I think it was me. I think Christian Pache saw the bunch of slander that we did here on this podcast, and he said, you know what? I'm going to do it for Jared. And we're going to fix this. But yeah, had a 2-run home run, which was awesome to see. And then Jonathan Daza had an RBI double in the fourth to make it 3-2. And then Mike Moustakas had a sac fly in the fifth, which again, no idea he was on the Rockies. And then you had Nick Castellanos again in the sixth inning with a solo home run to make it 4-3. The bullpen was lights out in this game. They pitched 4 2/3 scoreless. 4 2/3 scoreless. They were awesome. They were bam. The bullpen, I have it in my keynotes for game 4. The bullpen was fantastic in this entire series. They've been fantastic for like over a week now, and it's awesome. Like, this is the bullpen I thought we were getting, and it's just, I'm so happy. Like I said, Pache somehow is hitting 300. He went 2 for 3 today with a home run and a double. I'm all in. I'm all in on Christian Pache. Because if we could get him to be like a scrappy, like 280, 300 hitter with elite defense, Kyle Schwarber is going to be the DH until, Harper's back and Pache is back on the bench. But like, come on, man. We mentioned Christopher Sanchez. Connor Brogdon went an inning and 2/3, 1 hit, 2 strikeouts. Soto, who's been lights out since his first outing as a Philly. I know that kind of left a sour taste in a lot of people's mouths, but he's been lights out ever since. Dominguez, 2 hits, 2 strikeouts in an inning of work. And then Craig Kimbrel had a shutdown 9th inning. when I saw Craig Kimbrell warming up in the bullpen, I'm like, oh, sweet mother of God. Oh, sweet mother of God. But he's been really good recently. So, like, the bullpen did it again. Like, I'm not used to having a competent bullpen. Like, I didn't know that was allowed in 2023. Like, even last year during the playoff run, I trusted like two guys and they ran them into the ground with Dominguez and Alvarado. I trust Soto. I trust Dominguez. I trust Alvarado. Brogdon, I'm getting there. Kimbrel, I'm getting there. Who else is in that bullpen? Well, Bellatti's arm like fell off. God, who am I missing? Ortiz. Ortiz? All right. I see you. You have Andrew Vasquez is still out there. I haven't seen him pitch in like a hot minute, but he's more of a multi-inning guy, and he's been great in that role. So it's great. It's great. Everything's great. I love it. I love it. Game number 4. Phillies 9, Rockies 3. My player of the game was Zach Wheeler. Wheeler went 6 innings, 3 hits, 3 home runs, 3 walks, 11 strikeouts. There's the strikeout numbers we've been waiting to see from Zach Wheeler. Again, I did not watch this game because I have work. Usually on Sundays, I work during the games. So unfortunately, wasn't able to watch this one, but I was keeping updates with it. Trey Turner, solo home run in the first. Cody Clemens, didn't know he was allowed to hit homers. 2-0 Phils into the third. Then Wheeler kind of hit a wall in the fourth, but that's why you're paying him the money, and that's why he's your ace is figure out when you're struggling, figure out, the tough innings, and kind of work out of it. And that's what he did. He did give up 3 runs in the fourth, which sucks to make it 3-2 Colorado. But then the Phillies battled right back. JT had an RBI to tie it up, and then Bohm had an RBI ground out to make it 4-3. And then, I honestly thought going into that, I'm like, oh my God, it's going to be 4-3 again final. But then Alec Bohm said, had an RBI double in the 7th to make it 5-3. Then Stott and Marsh had a pair of 2-run home runs apiece in the 7th and 8th inning to finish out the scoring at 9-3. So everybody hits, I didn't know that was allowed on a Phillies team. And I mentioned that these young guys are developing really, really well right now. And now with the, impending Harper's kind of knocking at the door, seemingly, we think he could be. I'm not saying that Harper's going to be in the lineup next week, but Christ almighty, with the amount of updates that we're getting about Harper, he might be. But, it's great that Harper's not going to have to carry the load when he gets back. Everybody knows Harper, when he comes back from injury, he's not going to look good. And everybody's going, oh, they rushed him back. Oh, they did this. Harper's never looked good when he's come back from injury. So settle down. He'll be fine. But you got Marsh hitting well. You have Turner, who's always going to be a great hitter. Stott has looked great. Bohm has looked great. Schwarber's heating up. Casty's look great. JT getting there. And then who am I missing? Second base, first half, third base. Oh, I mean Sosa. Whoever you put in at third, Sosa's look great. Harrison's look great. Pache is turning the corner. Like Harper is not going to be trusted like he was in like 2019 or 2021 to literally carry this team. The guys are going to be, it's like that meme with Shredder and the Ninja Turtles, and he's like old and all the Ninja Turtles are like holding his hand. And then like when he's older and then the older Ninja Turtles are holding his hand, it's going to be like that. Like Harper in 2019, 2021, he was holding the Phillies' hands. And now when he comes back, they're going to be holding his hand. I hope that makes sense. I hope that finds its right audience. But I think it's going to kind of be like that. Like the Harper's not going to be trusted to carry the load of this team. And that's great. And that's awesome. It takes a lot of pressure off him. He can ease his way back in. He can figure out, his stroke again. But if I know Harper, like I know Bryce Harper, he's going to be fine. So that's great. And like my keynotes, Wheeler looked like Zach Wheeler again outside of that 4th inning, which I thought he did a great job of limiting damage, of working, around and just being the ace. 11 strikeouts, that's huge for Zach Wheeler. He's a power pitcher, and he looked great. Soto continued to look great. Alvarado, same deal. Ortiz got a little shaky there in the 9th inning, but he was able to work out of it. Stott continues to develop into one of the best, not one of the best, but one of the most exciting young hitters we have in the league right now, which is awesome. And I got to give a shout out to the bullpen. I've been saying it the entire time. The bullpen went 13 and a third, 11 hits, 2 earned runs, 2 strikeouts, 13 and a third innings, 11 hits, 2 earned runs, 2 walks, 14 strikeouts. That's a 1.37 ERA in this series. And yes, oh, Jared, it's against the Rockies. You still got to get the outs. These are still professional baseball players, and they're doing that. So I got to give a shout out to the bullpen. And I'm sure if you look at their numbers, even in the White Sox series, they were just as good. Like I love this team right now. They're finally getting on a roll. Who let them get hot? That might be the name of the episode. Who let them get hot? But yeah, so great series. They looked competent. They looked like a scrappy team again. They look like they were rolling a little bit. The pitching's finally going deeper. The bullpen is resting a little more because of this. They're not being as relied on anymore. And guys are starting to get into a rhythm again where you can go, oh, Alvarado pitched last night, but Soto can pitch a scoreless inning. You know what I mean? Like stuff like that. Awesome. Moving on. Turn the chapter to the Seattle Mariners, America's team from a few years ago. They are in town Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. There's an off day tomorrow, which is nice. The Mariners, as of now, have not announced their starters, but the Phillies have. You have Falter, Walker, and Strom in that order. All these guys are looking to add on from their previous start. Even with Strom and giving up the 3 earned runs, still struck out 11 guys. Walker looked really good in his last start against the White Sox, and same with Bailey Falter. I said in my last podcast, and I even got a little flack for it on TikTok, Bailey Falter was great in his last start, and people were like, oh, well, great's a bit of an exaggeration. Like, no, you got to look at it in the scope of it's Bailey Falter. Like, Bailey Falter isn't a front of line starter. He's your 5th starter. And for him to give you 7 innings was it 3? Yeah, it was 3 earned runs in that second game of the doubleheader. That's awesome. So he looks to build off of that. Oh my God, my apologies, a burp right there. Walker looks to continue to build off a strong past couple starts and looks to continue to figure out his rhythm. And same with Strom. I thought Strom is throwing the hell out of the ball. I really think he's only had one bad start, and that was that start in Cincy. I think the last start against the Rockies, he was really, really good. He just got unlucky. But my keynotes to this series, the Mariners are kind of in the same boat as the Phillies, where they're struggling a little bit. They're 1 game under 500, so strike while you can, because that's kind of what they did last year. The Phillies beat up on them when they fully weren't the Mariners, that went to the playoffs and, ended that drought. They're struggling a little bit, so take advantage of that. Win 2 out of 3. I know I'm going to sound like a broken record every time I talk about series previews, but I think this is a real possibility. Keep the great pitching rolling. The starters, the bullpen pitching wins you championships. It's the old saying. So my grandfather used to tell me all the time. And my main person to watch out for is J-Rod. Everybody knows Julio Rodriguez was one of was the rookie of the year last year. He's one of the best young players that we have in the game right now. Keep him off the bases. Do not let that guy beat you. But my feeling, he's going to be a Philly killer. He's going to be add to the name of Philly killers. So we'll see. But that's going to do it for me. I will be back Thursday. I'll be back Thursday. I'll be back Thursday. Might be a quick one because I have to get out the door, but we will we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Thank you guys so much for listening. Feel free to follow and everything down below, and I will see you guys on Thursday.